We are strengthening our economic security and our competitiveness. Meanwhile, we remain committed to frank, respectful and open dialogue with China, and today's summit provided exactly that. It was a valuable opportunity to work towards concrete progress in key areas of our bilateral relations, but we also clearly explained our concerns to the Chinese leadership, particularly in trade and investment. And let me start with this. A few figures. Today, the European Union accounts for an impressive 14.5% of China's total exports. Yet China only represents 8% of our exports. These numbers speak to the scale of our relationship, but they also expose a growing unbalance. It is mostly due to an increasing number of trade distortions and market access barriers. But unlike other major markets, Europe keeps its market open to Chinese goods. This reflects our long-standing commitment to rules-based trade. However, this openness is not matched by China. The European Union's trade deficit with China has doubled in the last decade, reaching more than 300 billion euros by now. So we have reached a clear inflection point. As we said to the Chinese leadership, for trade to remain mutually beneficial, it must become more balanced. Europe welcomes competition, we like competition, but competition has to be fair. So we raised 3 priority areas where we believe progress is both possible and needed. The first is market access. Reciprocity is a simple and clear principle in this regard. At our summit, I referred to the importance of reciprocity in the public procurement, and today we agreed to work on concrete solutions for that. Second, we discussed at length the issue of overcapacity in China's economy. You know the crucial sectors like, for example, steel, solar panels, electric vehicles, batteries, and others. The subsidized production does not match the domestic demand in China, and therefore overcapacity produced here goes to other markets. But the more other markets restrict Chinese exports, the greater the risk of trade diversion and pressure on the European Union's single market. And this puts our own industrial competitiveness at risk at a time when we are making significant investments, for example, in clean energy transition. The Chinese leadership has started to look into this issue under the term involution and expressed willingness to support more the consumption and less the production part. This is important. We need to see progress on this issue, because without progress it would be very difficult for the European Union to maintain its current level of openness. The third issue we raised was export controls on rare earth and permanent magnets from China. As you know, these export controls have placed significant strain on some European companies. To keep trust in our trade relationship, we need reliable and secure supply of critical raw materials from China. Being seen as a reliable supplier and partner is clearly aligned with China's long-term economic and strategic interests. So we acknowledge China's efforts on fast-tracking licenses for the critical raw materials, and we agreed, and this is new, to have an upgraded export supply mechanism. In other words, if there are bottlenecks, this upgraded supply chain support mechanism can immediately check and solve the problem or the issue that is out there. The need to rebalance our relationship is even more urgent in today's context of the global rise of tariffs. As two of the world's largest economies, the European Union and China share a responsibility to uphold and reform the global trading system so we can keep it open, fair, and grounded on rules. This responsibility also extends to upholding international norms, rules, and institutions, and this is why we raised the critical issue of China's support for Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. This has a direct and dangerous impact on Europe's security, and we expressed together our expectations that China would follow up on our concerns and the expectation that it would use its influence to bring Russia to accept a ceasefire, to come to the negotiation table, enter peace talks, and put an end to the bloodshed. How China continues to interact with Putin's war will be a determining factor for our relations going forward. Finally, we discussed climate change. Our joint statement on climate and the environment is a big step forward. We both see the opportunities to work closer together in sectors such as emission trading, just introduced here in China, carbon capture and storage, the circular economy, and our cooperation can set a global benchmark. Together, the European Union and China must uphold the Paris Agreement now more than ever. The European Union is doing its fair share. China's climate ambition matters immensely. We are both convinced that the triple planetary crisis of climate, biodiversity loss, and pollution requires a strong multilateral framework, and we both want COP30 in Belém to deliver ambitious results. From the summit, I gather that there is a lot we can do together. Despite our difference, and we have differences, we can find pragmatic solutions. Europe will always defend its interests, as China would. We are ready to enhance bilateral cooperation and build a more balanced and more stable relationship. We know the next 50 years of EU-China relations will be shaped by the choices we make today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll open the floor for questions. Please note that there's interpretation provided in English and in Chinese. I'll start with the paper.
Thank you. Good evening, President. Question from the paper. And we all know that there are many differences between China and the EU.